What was this near-death experience you had?
I had a surgery to fix something that went completely haywire. I had to have my stomach completely removed. I had to fight back from pancreatitis and being septic. And the only way I could be fed was through a PICC line.
Hi, Jana. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you, Mark. I'm very excited to be here today.
I am so excited to have you. You have been such a big proponent of the power of positive language. Basically, how words shape not only the reality we live in, but also how other people see us. How did you come up with that?
I never paid much attention to words in the past. And then I had a near death experience, and that woke me up. And today, 12 years later from that near death experience, I sit in the same diagnosis I had before I survived. And I always wondered why. And I knew it was because what I was feeding my mind, the words that I was feeding my brain.
What was this near death experience you had?
I had a surgery to fix something that went completely haywire. I had to have my stomach completely removed. I had to fight back from pancreatitis and being septic. And the only way I could be fed was through a PICC line of TPN, which is synthetic, which is awesome because people in comas are able to survive and get nutrients. But because it was synthetic, Mark, my body said, hell no, this isn't for us. And all my organs started shutting down. And there was no other way for me to get nutrients. I was sent home to be on hospice until my time ran out. So after 3 months in the hospital, I came home and I decided to get on the internet, which I never did. I'm an old lady. I was in my 50s then, but now I'm in my 60s. And I decided to type in the words, desperate for health answers, looking for holistic options. And the whole world opened up to me. I am not kidding you. I was able to reach across the globe and connect with people that were experts in their field that could offer me help. And it was fabulous, but it was also flippin' scary because with that came the people who were selling product. They had no experience. They were saying they were naturopaths. Literally, they just woke up one morning and said, hey, people are making money at this. Me too. And I had to navigate through that with the one thing I didn't have, time. And so that's what built my platform from the very beginning is how do I bring these people to the surface, shine a light on them and let people know this is the real deal if you're looking.
What a crazy story. And you're right, the world of naturopaths and holistic, there is so much good there, but there's also a lot of snake oil salesmen because there is a lot of money to be made. And the way you put it, navigating through all of that with no time in hand. What was your day to day like in those days? Was it a lot of anxiety? Was it a lot of stress? Was there some level of confidence in some higher power that you will make it through?
No, because I was told I wasn't. I believe what doctors tell me. So I wasn't. I was just, first of all, where the words that came in or the words I spoke to myself was not today, maybe tomorrow, but not today. And so I not today'd myself, and here it is 12 years later. But the way it felt with, I tell people, what if you were convicted of a murder you didn't commit? And you were given the death sentence and you fought and fought, but you were not able to get it overturned. And the day comes that you're dying. So my moment came and I was looking frantically for escape, right? I was looking everywhere, but I felt like there was these words around me. You have so long, it's not curable. We can't help you. And every time I tried to look somewhere, it was like these guards pushing me closer and closer to that door of death. And it was, I can't even tell you, it was the most terrifying thing I ever went through. I felt trapped. I was scared. I felt hopeless. I had all those feelings every single day till I started changing what I told my mind, right? Until I did that. And I wanted to know later as more months went by and I was getting better. I was healing. By the way, I still live in the exact same diagnosis. Yet I tell people I thrive in it now. Nothing has changed in my diagnosis, but I thrive in my diagnosis now. But I started making these shifts that I wasn't even aware of. And I wanted to know more. So in my 50s, I went back to school. I got educated on mindset, what the brains do, neural pathways. What is a generational trauma? What is that? That an ancestor I didn't even know had passed down to me. How is that possible? And so I started really diving into it. And the whole world of the mind opened up to me and what was possible with very small shifts of how we talk to ourselves.
So going back to the moment when you're on the internet, you're looking at forums, the whole world opened up for you. All of a sudden, people are giving solutions. You're realizing that there are options might be available. What happened next?
I found an option. Fortunately for me, I had some really great advocates. I had 2 daughters that were in med school. My ex-husband's an internist and my current husband's a veterinarian. When the things were completely out of the realm of of what could help, they were able to help navigate me, because I would have, if someone told me, look, you need to buy 12 fresh or chickens and then pick up their poo in the morning and rub it on your face and maybe drink a little, I would have. I wanted to live that badly to create memories with my grandchildren. And so
Yeah.
I would have done it. I'd have tried anything. I was open. What I didn't have was time. I would have spent every penny I had, because you know what? Aha moment. We don't take that with us. I was collecting Hermes bags and Louis Vuitton shoes, and I realized that was not coming with me. It wasn't even important. It had no value at all when I realized I was dying. What was valuable to me was my time and the moments I had to share with the people I loved and friends and family. And so my focus completely shifted from monetized things to the things that people don't recognize are the real value in your life, which is the time, the value in that time, making real connections with the people you love, leaving valuable memories with them. When I'm gone, I don't want them to remember the car I drove. I want them to remember us laughing together, or the day we went to the beach. And so those were the moments that I invested my time and money into. After, we don't even give our kids gifts anymore, or even our grandkids, and they get it. We asked them one year, Mark, and I want you to try this if you have family. One year we asked them, what do you want for Christmas? And all 7 of them gave us this list of crazy things. I'm like, what did we get you last year? Not one of those 7 grandkids, including our children, remembered what we got them last year. So I'm like, we are not doing that anymore. We are going to create a gift, a memory. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What kind of memory do you want to create? And we've been doing that for the past 10 years, and it has been fabulous. When I ask them now, what did we do last year? We went to New York, and remember, we got to go see this. We were at that museum, and you fell off the horse in the park. And like, they have all these great memories that we are going to leave with them. And those are what we value now.
Love it. You have this near death experience, you get help, you're starting to feel better, and you start to realize I need to feed my mind with different type of information. You go and get the schooling, right? Now you're starting to think differently. Something changes then, that you start feeling that now I've helped myself, I want to be able to help others. Tell us that process. Where did that take you?
I wanted to make a ripple effect of change. Remember, I wanted to create memories with my grandchildren. And I realized people ask me all the time how to become an influencer. I want to be like you. I want to influence people. They already are. Everything you do, people are observing. Some of them are mimicking you. Some of them are judging you. But whatever you do, you're influencing others, those beautiful children or grandchildren you may have, your siblings. So be aware of what you're doing now and how you're putting that energy out into the world. But I wanted to leave a change, something that would change for my grandkids here on this earth, and understanding the theory behind how we talk to ourselves, how we receive what others are saying. I would have people say not such kind things to me. And instead of changing that for myself and understanding that's their baggage, that's crazy. I wonder why they would say that, what's going on in their life. I received that as criticism for me, and I held it. I held that. I'm not good enough. I don't do this quite right. I need more, right? If I have more, it'll distract them from whatever it is they saw in me that they didn't like. And so for me, getting it out into the world was a way of changing how we react to each other, the energy fields around us, and what we're drawing in. I think it's really funny. I hear people say abundance isn't for everyone, and that is not true. I am telling you, abundance isn't here with a limited amount of what you can achieve or what you can have or how you can connect. It is limitless. And so for you to think there's not enough for you is completely wrong. I want you to visualize a world where everything is possible, because when we change that in our mind, Mark, everything does become possible, whether we know it or not. There's a warning in my book that says, be careful. Even if you've just read the introduction, everything we're saying right now is seeding in your brain. Its possibilities are seeding in your brain right now. Whether you believe it or not, it's going to start a shift. And so I want people to understand how that works. So we even put like this cute little warning in there. Be careful. There's a warning. If you read this, it may adjust the way you think about yourself.
As cute as it is, it's important. A lot of people, their belief system is their identity. And sometimes when you start challenging their belief system, it starts challenging their identity. So it's one thing to say that I want to change and get better. It's another thing to be able to follow up with it, right? And accept the information that's being fed. Let me ask you this question. Everybody in this world wants to be better. They want to be healthier. They want to be fitter. They want to have great relationships. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I want to have a bad day, right? But we don't carry out the things that we need to do to be able to get there. What is the block that you see is happening in terms of any subconscious behavior or blocks? What is the reason why we spend so many of our years trying to pursue something, but not really getting traction?
I think it's because it's overwhelming. And I think that there's never been a real clear roadmap to how we can change that in ourselves. I talk about this when I do my talks. Maybe you were growing up and you wanted to be a doctor, right? And maybe you got scared because after you spent 12 years in school, you got about 8 to 12 years ahead of you. And coming out of high school as the big football player, whatever it was that you did, now you're going into a college that's completely new. You're the little man on campus and you've got 12 years, 8 to 12 years ahead of you. And it's overwhelming. But here's what happens. They've got you. We've got you. It's one step. One step. You take this class, then you take this class. And then the next year you take this class and this class. And the next thing you're crossing the stage. So I think it's overwhelming when we think about creating change in ourselves and the possibilities of where we want. No one's ever really given us a direct roadmap on how we make that happen. So we look at the big picture, where we want to be and where we're currently at. And there's a disconnect in our minds because it seems incapable of us getting there. Especially most people want instant gratification. No, I want to be there today. That is not good. But if you take that first step and then the next step, it's just like the college student graduating. The next thing you're there and you're thinking, what more is there, right? Where else can I go? So if we can just start focusing on the little teeny things that we can change, the little things we can change in the way our mind thinks moving forward, you'll be looking back and be thinking, how did that ever happen? I'm actually finally here. It happened. When I created my book, it was a lot about creating that roadmap of little baby steps. There's some redundancy in it because creating habits is redundant. And I want people to understand it's doing the same thing over and over that's working, that helps you get there. So it might be doing 3 baby steps a month and getting there that way. But changing the way we talk to ourselves is so important. We are the worst the way we talk to ourselves. If I had somebody else come up and talk to me the way I used to talk to myself, my husband would have flipped out and said, excuse me, don't talk to my wife that way. But I was doing it worse than that person was. And it's even worse the way we receive it because it's us telling us we're not worthy, we're not good enough, we're not enough to create this, I don't deserve that. And it's insanity when you think about it, but we all struggle with it, every single one of us.
Absolutely. I say this thing, if I woke up in the morning and every single morning I looked at the mirror and I told myself, you're the ugliest thing that ever existed. You're so ugly. It doesn't matter how many people during the rest of the day tell me how amazing I look, because I'm starting my day out consistently saying that to myself. There is no way I'm going to feel good, right? Let's talk about consistency. The things that you laid out are timeless and the value is in gold. Have a long-term roadmap, come up with things that you can control and do now, consistently continue to do them, believe in the power of a process and delayed gratification, and you'll get there. And a lot of people listen to this and they can get started with it. But the biggest problem sometimes is they can't remain consistent. They fall into the old thought patterns of the negative self-talk or whatever they're doing. What are some practical strategies you would apply that you would tell they should apply to be able to consistently be able to do this?
So for me, it's recognition, because you're absolutely right. We have built these thought patterns that are loops that pop forward in our mind when it's been triggered. You're in pain loop triggers, right? Something scares you, the fear loop triggers. Someone says something about you that doesn't feel quite comfortable, the defense maybe triggers, right? How do I defend myself? What's wrong with me? And pushes you back. So recognizing what loop is popping forward and redirecting that loop. And yes, it doesn't happen overnight. One of the actionable tips I tell everyone, and the reason the book is named The Yep Factor, is change one simple word. And when your negative mind says, I can't do that yet, here's what your brain hears and how that loop pattern starts to change. When your brain hears the word yet, it's a machine, right? It's here to keep you alive. It's making a pattern. And so when it hears the word yet, it's hearing, wait, not yet? That means we're going to be? What do I do to prepare for this? She's going to ask us to do this. And so it starts thinking the possibility. It's not happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. And I live because I said, it's not today. I haven't died yet. And I kept moving forward. So I want people to understand that just a simple change in your word, but you have to recognize that pattern popping up. When you really get into this, you're going to recognize, where did that thought even come from? Why do I feel that about myself? And a lot of this is stuff that is going to be really hard for you to discover because it happened before you were 7 years old. Sometimes it happened in another generation. My husband and I argue all the time. He thinks generational trauma is ridiculous. And he is a nut. because this man is Jewish. And I tell him all the time, really? You think generational trauma, you didn't live through the Holocaust, but some of your family did. And where did that put you right now? How did that trickle down into your thought patterns and belief patterns? And when we had the talk, he was like, maybe just that one thing. But I am telling you, we all have these limiting beliefs that come from our ancestors trying to protect us. And when you recognize that limiting belief and where it came from, oh my gosh, I heard my grandmother say that. It's so silly. She used it to protect you, but I want you to think, how does this protect me now? It doesn't. I'm a big girl now. I got this. That no longer serves me. Thank you, Grandma, for protecting me, but I don't need it anymore, and give it back. When you recognize that, those patterns start to disappear and the new patterns immediately trigger forward. That doesn't mean you might have a really bad setback, like you might have some sort of loss, a relationship goes south, and you go back to revisiting, I'm not good enough. What did I do? But it's okay because now you have the tools and that new loop is sitting in there. All you have to do is light it back up so that it pulls forward. And I think one of the other things, Mark, that I like to mention is people don't want to feel the negative stuff, the hurt, the pain, the disappointment. We push that stuff down and ignore it. Feel all the feelings, right? I tell people all the time, use it as a parking zone. It's for unloading and loading only. Get it out there, load it or unload it and move on. Don't live there, right? You don't want to stay parked there because I'm going to come give you a ticket if you do.
Love that. When you talk about power of words, it's so beautiful how your book is called The Yet Factor, yet in quotes, and how you beautifully demonstrated, I can't do this, I can't do it yet. Just one word completely changes the energy behind it. I must say, there are very few books that have such a good title that explains like the philosophy behind it. And this is one of those. Let's talk about fear, right? A lot of people listening to this, they are thinking, yeah, there's a duality in me. There's a part of me that is stuck in the past. I recognize that, and it's not serving me well. And there is also a part of in me that is strong and powerful, and I know I can do things. But there is fear that if I shifted from my old version and I went into this new version, what would I be like? What would of mom will I be? What will of wife will I be? What would my relationships like? And sometimes that fear scares them enough to not be able to take action or remain in indecision. So what would you say to those who are like paralyzed, not because of not knowing what to do, but because of the fear about who they're going to become?
So I think almost everything that triggers us comes out of fear. Fear of growth, fear of intimacy, fear of like being honest about everything. I think it all triggers from fear. And I really believe that when those things trigger in us, by the way, you guys, if you're dealing with moving forward because you're fearful, you are not the only one. Very successful people deal with this every day. And they're afraid to move forward because I've already accomplished so much. I'm doing everything and it's good. If I move forward and it's not as good as this, I'm going to look bad. And there's always something holding them back from going further. And what I would tell you is address that fear. What is the thing that you're afraid of? Because fear triggers those emotional responses. It can trigger anxiety to keep us safe. Fear triggers us backing out of relationships or not completely committing to them to keep us safe because we're afraid of being hurt. Fear triggers everything, and it triggers the neurological system first before it triggers our brain, right? Our nervous system is going to kick in and you're going to feel that beating heart, right? I'm fear. I just can't do this. I will tell you, I still deal with this and I work with words. We are doing a large event in August. It's going to be the first Holisticon ever done. And I'm putting this on and I'm terrified. I quit 3 times a day, at least minimum. You know what? I'm going to do this another year. This is too much. I'm not doing it. Oh, nope. And then something miraculous happens and that new loop pattern pops up. What do you mean you can't do this? Of course you can, right? And it starts telling me this is going to be amazing. Even in the worst case scenario, completely flops, it's going to be amazing. And so I keep telling my brain this, and now the new patterns are coming forward, but I still quit. I'm afraid. I've done everything so well. What if this is a flop? What if it is? But what if
It's not? Exactly. There are pressures when you're getting started, but there are also a different type of pressure when you've quote unquote made it. Because now you have a series of successes and people have certain type of expectation from you. So both parties are looking at each other thinking, well, you have it easier. It's not really. Everybody's struggling with the same demons in our head. You obviously are the driving force behind the Best Holistic Life magazine, which has 1.2 million subscribers. For entrepreneurs who are listening to this, give us some entrepreneurial tips. If I have a message, if I have something I believe in, and I want to create an outlet, let's say a magazine, What would the experts say? What would you say they should do as the first couple steps?
First of all, I would say be authentic, know the purpose. Even when I'm posting on social media, what is the purpose of this post? If I don't have a purpose, I'm not going to just post. What is the purpose of the post? And when you create what the purpose is of anything you're putting out to the world, it's going to be received differently. The other thing I would suggest is if this is on social media platforms, shut off those likes, shut off the comments. You've got a DM. If they really want to talk to you, they'll reach out to you in the DM. About 2 years ago, I had a cover who was so hot, she crashed our website and we had to upgrade to a commercial site because so many people went there. But she got one negative comment, one out of hundreds. And she was crushed and could not get this one negative comment out of her head. No matter how many times I would read to her all the positive ones. And I realized, why do you care? Why does it matter when what we're putting forward is our passion, our purpose, our authentic selves out there on the table? What do I care what the other people think? So what we've done is shut off all of our likes, all of our comments. And what happened for me was, instead of how you get fire or thumbs up or heart emojis, you get all these emojis, no real connection with anyone, just loading up. I got 50,000 comments and not one real saying or statement or question. What happened to us is when we closed that out, our DMs blew up. People were reaching out in our DMs, and actually I was getting to know them, having a conversation with them. It was really a miracle for me to be able to shut those down and freely feel what people had to say, connecting with them on a real way. And they were shocked. I can't believe you're answering your own DMs. I know several women that are very high in business, and they will not allow anyone to touch their DMs but them. They want to really connect and be there for that person. Those people are the ones that are going to go out there and change the world. Like, they're invested in you and what you have to say.
I love it. I've never interviewed anybody who has consciously made the decision to shut off the DMs, but now the likes and the comments. But now that you say it, it makes a lot of sense. Those who are influenced by the content, are moved by the content, want to communicate that back. And then sort of the only way to do it, where you create more authentic one-on-one relationships. What about tactical steps? Just a couple of tactical steps for an entrepreneur just to be able to get a magazine going. What would you say are the first 2 or 3 things they should do?
If you're wanting to be featured in a magazine, we do allow everyone their first feature for free. My goal is to save half the magazine because I wanted people who were of value to share their story, their message, and their education with others, no matter what their financial background was, right? They might just be getting started. I know how hard it is to struggle on social media. So we do allow everyone, but we're going to ask you, what's your purpose of this article? Who are you connecting with? What are you offering them? And offering them an education. And so we have that conversation, but there are a few other ways you can do it. There is a magazine called Medium Magazine. You can write for Medium for free. You can get a platform on there and start blogging on their site for free. Once you start getting some followers, you can actually even charge for those if you wanted to. They have a paid platform, and all of this is free to you. I started doing my press releases on there because Medium is such an incredible magazine and they've done such a good job that my press releases get picked up faster than when I was putting them with CBS, NBC, and all that. So now we do our press releases through Medium. So there are several magazines like that will give you your first article for free or give you an opportunity. But when you pitch them, I want you to pitch them in a way that drives them back to you. What is the purpose? Tell them the purpose behind my article is to give your readers insight on, for me, if it was my book, insight on how the mind works, how it receives words, and how simple word changes will change your life. And that would be my purpose of writing the article that I was writing. And this is what the outcome would be for me, is that I want to see people engage in this outcome and start switching words out. I want them to get a conversation about, what about this word? How would I change this way I think? And start having that beautiful conversation with them. So that would be my outcome. So when you tell a publication, this is the purpose of the article. This is what I love to see, is engagement in word contact and talking to yourself. And so I would like to write an article that portrays that for your issue. They're going to be so excited to have you. But if you start blogging on Medium, it will really help you start getting better, honing in your writing skills. We do ask, if anyone writes for us, that they make absolutely no curative claims or any type of diagnosis, and keep your selling out of your articles. Educate, show up. Let them know that you care. Do not sell to someone until you've had an opportunity to build some trust and rapport, especially if you're a big ticket item. I have big ticket items. Do you think I'm going to say, hey, I need $30,000 for you to work with me? No, I'm going to give them an opportunity to work with me, to see how I perform for them. I always try to over deliver. I want to build a relationship for them. And then if they want to move into that next category, it gives them the opportunity. Rarely does someone tell me no, because I've spent the time getting to know what their needs are, understanding what I could do, what my place would be in that, and if I could help, and then bringing them into that space. And sometimes this takes months to do. It probably takes for me about 3 months. I don't know, Mark, how you get people interested in the things that you do, but we do something called give ask. And I sit with clients all the time. And when I talk to them about it, they'll say, that doesn't work. That would never work for me. I said, really? If you're my client, you went through my give ask. And they're like, what? I asked you to do a free article. You did. I did a beautiful article for you. I got out there. I promoted you. I gave you all this content for free. Then I asked you to be on my podcast that gets 40,000 downloads, right? An episode. I got you on there. We promoted it. We over delivered. And then I said, would you like to be a regular writer? You sat here and you said yes, but you've worked with me twice, not even realizing that. We've talked. We've built a relationship. We mostly built trust and rapport. You knew I was going to show up. You had my personal number. Like you had all these things to where I built enough trust and rapport with you that you're willing to release that kind of money to work with me. So for those of you out there just writing about selling a product or writing about selling your programs, stop. Literally write something that's going to start building. It has purpose, right? This purpose is to build trust and rapport with potential clients and start putting that kind of topic out there instead of sales pitches.
I love it. I love it. Everything you say is grounded so much into authenticity. And authenticity is just one of those words that sometimes gets overused and nobody really knows how to cultivate that. So some of the practical strategies you're giving really talk about that. What is it if I am somebody and I'm struggling with finding my voice, like you talked about, what are some things that exercises that you would recommend they do to be able to find their unique voice and not be able to share it, not be fearful?
I think we all have a powerful story. I know, Mark, when you and I first met, you told me your story and it was moving. Like you had a mindset shift. You took something that was bothering you and changed it to something that you thrived in. So I feel like finding your story is the key. What is my story? Where do I want to take my story and how do I want to put it out into the world authentically? But mostly, I want you to think about who it is you're putting it out into the world. And I promise you, if you write a list, where do you have coffee? What is your favorite food? Where do you spend your weekends? If you're creating that list about you, almost every single time, as a matter of fact, I've never had it not happen. The people we're targeting are ourselves because we know how it helped us. This is what I struggled with. So when I start building their clients, what I would say is their target market, it's always them. So I start asking them lots of questions. And then when we put it together, go, does this look like your client? That's exactly my client. Remember, the energy we put out into the world is what we attract. And so when we are putting energy out and healing because we were healed and something incredible happened to us, and that's all we're talking about and how you can get there. For me, it's mindset, like triggering things in our brain. It's me, what I went through. So I'm targeting people like me that are hearing those things in their head that are holding them back and that they're afraid to move forward. And so I know exactly who my target market is and who I'm speaking to. When I'm writing, I write to that person. I don't write to the masses. I write to the one group of people that I know I'm targeting and I know they'll hear it. And so it's the same like, I don't know if you had to be on big stages, but when you go on big stages, it's scary. You can't see their faces. I'm a people reader. I have to read the energy. I have to see people to read it. And you get blinded by all the lights, or you happen to catch someone and they're looking at you in a weird way. And you're like, oh my God, am I hitting the mark? And then I remember someone told me they're not here to hear you. Not all of them. Like they bring in a scientist to talk about the scientific part of this. They bring in a comedian, right? The person gets you laughing. They bring in the motivator to get people out of their seats. Like, I'm doing this. They bring in the person that tells that personal story, that heartbeat that brings people in emotionally. You're only here for one part of that. Just speak to those people. And it was amazing. It was an aha moment for me when I spoke on stages. Like, I'm only here for you. I would tell them at the beginning, I'm only here to speak to these people. This would be a great time for the rest of you if you want to take a potty break, get something to eat. But otherwise, you know what? Hardly anybody got up and walked out because they had FOMO. I don't want to miss what she's telling those people. Why did she not name me as those people?
Yeah, why don't you want me here? What is the secret information? Party can wait. I love it. You have a big event coming up. Tell us about this event.
So we have an event coming up in August in Beverly Hills. It's going to be the first Holistic Con. We're limited to 2,000 people. So I wanted it to be bigger, but I thought we would keep it small at first. We're going to have some celebrities, some incredible celebrities that are coming in talking about when they were abusing drugs, alcohol, and depression, and dealing with not finding anyone who was real in their world. Everybody was there because of who their celebrity character was and how they had to change that to find peace and self-love love. And so they're coming in to talk. We have a lot of incredible big speakers coming in. Most of these people have written a book, just a little secret. So you're going to be getting a lot of books because they're all gifting books there. But I'm super excited about doing this because I feel like there's a hole in the world for holistic with what we don't have to pay for. Changing words, you don't have to pay for that. You can just start doing that, thinking better about yourself. Most holistic things are things that come from within, and we don't have to spend a fortune on it. And by the way, when we invest in those things, it's the biggest payout for us, right? When we take care of ourselves emotionally, physically, spiritually, all the things, it's better. We're the ones that reap from that. So I say start investing in yourself at one of these events that we're going to be doing. Our goal is to go coastal or bi-coastal, where we're on the East Coast and West Coast in 2026, and opening it up to vendors that want to come and share like their skills and what they do. But I had to keep it down to two for the first event.
I love it. Where does someone register for this? Where do they find out?
It'll be on Best Holistic Life website when we're ready for registration. It's in August of 2025. So we're just now signing contracts for our speakers, but we'll be opening it, and you'll be able to find it on Best Holistic Life magazine's website. And I'm sure it'll be on my personal website, which is just janashort.com.
Awesome. So you have the Best Holistic Life magazine, you have the book, The Yet Factor, you have this event, that's incredible event that's coming up next. What else is going on in Jana's life?
Oh, I get to do interviews coming up at the Grammys and at the Billboard Music Awards. They've given me 5 people on each to interview on red carpet. So I'm very excited about that. And they're people that are more in the holistic realm. And so they asked me to do that because I just was at the Emmy one. And so they're like, you need to come. We're going to give you 5 people. So I got invited to do that. So I'm very excited, not because they're celebrities, but here's the thing. Why do we listen to celebrities more than maybe our mom or our grandma or a friend that says, hey, you shouldn't be dating that guy? I'm telling you what, if some hot celebrity walked up to me and says, you shouldn't be doing that, I'd probably be like, I know. Okay. It's so funny how they can get the word out so much faster than a Joe Blow like me.
Come on. I love it. I love it. There are some people you just meet and you vibe with instantly, not just because of their personality, but also the energy and the aura they bring with you. And you, Jana, you're just one of those people. Every time I've had an opportunity to speak to you, you've not only connected my mind to new information, but also connected my heart to thinking and feeling differently. And I think the true leaders of the world know how to lead people because they know how to connect with them emotionally. Your story, your journey, the endeavors that you take on, they're all about giving and making people better. So it's such an honor and a privilege to have you on the show. Any last words for our audience members?
First, ditto, right back at you. I am so proud of all the work you're doing and your journey, and we would love to support you in any way we can. But here's what I would like to leave you with. You're the number one most important thing in the world, and you don't need more of anything else. You don't need more cars, more money, more. You don't need it, because everything you need to live a beautiful, happy life, you carry around within you. And if you can just learn a few little tricks on speaking better to yourself, your brain will follow. You will start believing what it's telling you. I would like to leave you guys with all of that. Self-care is such an important thing, and changing the way you think about yourself costs nothing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on the show, Jana. Hopefully we talk again soon.
Thank you, Mark.